Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability, and it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys are the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6-7 years.
We love talking about business. We love talking about the focus that's required to do it. There's nobody that I've seen as more focused. Literally, that would be the example of focus would be Bill Belichick.
True.
Over most of my adult
lifetime,
famously in press conferences. And he's an interesting guy. You know, I went through a scouting academy when we were kind of a transition there, a 1-year thing to be an NFL scout. The first scouting book ever was written by Bill Belichick's dad. He was quite
a legacy.
The guy that invented it. And Bill Belichick, he's made NFL players cry because he'll call them out in meetings and break them down. And he also went to a private liberal arts college and is well educated and well read. He's an incredible historian.
Yep.
And so has all of this perspective, but is in a life transition.
True.
That wouldn't be as big of a deal if it was just, you know, in people's local town, the guy that successful business owner in Milwaukee, you know, and he's kind of going through a thing, but he's got this girlfriend that Jordan Hudson that is
24 years
50
old.
years younger. And you know what, man, if it's working for him, you know, and she probably might have been looking for a guy that was focused and had a to-do list and a calendar and was doing it and wasn't finding a lot of them in her demographic maybe. And said, man, who's the most focused person I know? And kind of got, you know, connected with Bill Belichick because he definitely has a plan for his life and knows where he's going and has a detailed to-do list when he wakes up in the morning and hits the ground with his feet running. But it's interesting, he's making a transition from Patriots to college coaching, which is its own discussion because how well is he going to deal with young kids coming out of college, you know,
Right.
when you
Now he can kind of relate. He's dating somebody about their age.
maybe it's helping him kind of understand the moves there. That might be his strategy. Is like, hey, how do these guys think? Let's do deep research and get into the mind of that generation. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things going on, but it's kind of unraveled in public, different than it would be if it was just a guy that owned a muffler shop and was a very successful business guy in Milwaukee or Des Moines or Tulsa or wherever. So he had an interview on CBS this morning, which an obligation if you're an NFL coach is you have to talk to the media. And he famously was brutal to the media for years. So the idea of him going on a book tour, talking about his new book and sitting down with CBS Sunday morning is very odd.
Very,
Like,
very
why would he do that? Well, his girlfriend is acting as the publicist, and it kind of unfolded in a lot of worlds collide with CBS doing their Sunday morning show this weekend. So that happened Sunday. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
That is so interesting that, you see him and he's such a strong man. You see how
Strongest.
for so many years he's coached all these NFL players with such strong personalities. And then in 1 second, he can look so weak.
Well, and here's where a lot of people that aren't in the football world, not in this space, are like, what's up with this shirt? And why is he not? He's sort of always pushed the boundaries of what he could wear. And he's an anomaly. There's stories of him, a table of people and he's funny and having that. But then with the media, it's like here. So some people think the way that he's behaving there is like, is he going through something? That's always him.
Right. No, I didn't say that part was weak. Just that response from her.
But having a 24-year-old girl pipe in during an interview
Yeah.
is an odd thing. So it's kind of an interesting thing. These overlap. We love to talk about what's productive. None of this really applies to us personally, other than it's just fun water cooler conversation. But when it comes to like business and doing your life and hey, how can I do the idea of this is what you do, and then personal life coming in and affecting your performance. Now, when you want to talk about Bill Belichick, it's like, well, there's a lot of experts. We could bring in former players. There's Tom Brady. There's Julian Edelman. There's a list of Hall of Famers that going back to Lawrence Taylor that were all coached by, Bill Belichick. But one thing I want to look at is like, okay, from a fan perspective, who's looked at him, studied it, broken this down more than anyone else? And producer Colton, can you pull up who's Bill Belichick's number one fan? You did a search there.
Seems like the very top few results all seem to be someone from Tulsa, Oklahoma. The number one fan, unauthorized look under the hoodie, is definitely someone I think we know. I think we know this person from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, let's go that direction. We're talking about business anyway. Let's do an overlap. If you can't disagree with Google.
No. Mm-mm.
If the Google says that that's Bill Belichick's number one fan on the planet, let's dive into it and let's Colton, can you pull in from Drive Time Show the one and only Clay Clark?
Yay!
He's available.
Welcome, Clay.
Guys.
Well, what is going on? You know more of every aspect about Bill Belichick than anyone in the world. Are you
Probably true.
Are you surprised? And then as you're a part owner in over 160 different companies, you manage large staffs of people. What is your perspective as a business owner? Also look at this. I want to get all these things from you of somebody that performs at a high level, but then their personal life seems to be creeping into their performance. What would the University of North Carolina be thinking as they're moving forward? And what is your take on this?
Well, okay. One is let's break it down. The word fan. The word fan means a person filled with excessive and single-minded zeal, especially an extreme religious or political cause. So I would say definitely I have obsessively studied the coaching philosophies of Bill Belichick more than almost anybody. And the reasons why I liked Bill Belichick as a fan was that he would minimize distraction and focus on the actions that need to be taken. That's why I liked Bill Belichick. So that's why I wrote a book called A Look Under the Hoodie, because Bill Belichick famously, he wanted to wear a suit on the sidelines, and the NFL will not let you wear suits on the sidelines anymore. You're not allowed to wear a suit jacket on the sidelines. And so he decided, you know what? If that's the rule, I'm just going to wear a hoodie, whatever, because it's functional, and there we go. And it was like this myopic focus on, okay, if I can't do that, I'll do this. So he became known as kind of the hoodie guy. Then Bill Belichick became known as a guy who minimized his own emotional response to good and bad things on the field. So if a player on his team made a huge mistake or had a big play, he would minimize his emotional reactions. It was more of a stoicism kind of thing. Maybe your producer can look it up. But Ryan Holiday, who I've interviewed on my show, Ryan Holiday wrote a book about stoicism. And so that mindset of stoicism, and again, Ryan Holiday wrote a best-selling book about that. That's why I liked Bill Belichick. That's why I pursued him. But for all the reasons that I pursued Bill Belichick then, that's all the reasons why I will not be watching Bill Belichick now.
It's so interesting, Clay, because obviously for so many years we've followed him, very famous coach. I don't know if you've seen, they showed it even during that interview, so I looked him up myself. On social media, there's like posts of him where she's kind of dressed up like a mermaid and he's acting like he caught her. Like there's just all, right there. Just like very odd things that I would have never, that would have been like a, that would have been like a dream. Like you'd be like, no, that would never happen. Some really odd nightmare dream or something that Bill Belichick would, be on a beach acting like he caught a mermaid that's now his girlfriend.
Well, I was very excited to hear that Bill was coming to UNC to coach the program. But I just want you to know, this isn't hyperbole. I will not be watching any Bill Belichick ever again.
Well, there might be more to learn from him than there ever has been before, from strictly a student of life, a student of business, a student of managing, your environment. It's a susceptibility. It's kind of you don't look at him almost as a human, and this humanizes him in a way that nothing else ever has. Where my assessment was just this: you've seen it from David in the Bible, you've seen it all over and over. There's transformations take place with your personal life. Jeff Bezos, was the most watch the old 60 Minutes video of him going to work in his Honda Accord, and he could have been cast in the movie Revenge of the Nerds, and then now he went through the most expensive divorce in the history of man, and he's apparently buff and jacked, and he's shaved his head, and he's still kind of a nerd. He tripped in front of the space shuttle thing the other day that they did, and he still kind of is him, but he's kind of transformed his deal, and I think that's the off-field stuff is affecting his image, and maybe it's working out good for him. I don't know. But this idea of like some sort of a parasitic virus has entered into his brain through his private parts seems to have affected Bill Belichick, and it's affecting his job performance in a big way.
Well, I'll just say this. I mean, this is a true story. My wife could vouch for the story. But when the Patriots were playing, I used to watch Bill Belichick and the Patriots every single Sunday. I'd watch every single game, never miss a game, and it was a big thing. But as soon as the NFL started kneeling, I just turned it off. As soon as the players started kneeling for the flag, I haven't watched. Seriously, I have not watched a single NFL game since that happened, since the kneeling began. I don't watch NFL, so I'm very pragmatic. I'm very like yes or no. I'm not nuanced at all. I'm very black and white. And so why I watched Bill Belichick was I was excited that Bill Belichick as a coach, there was a lot of principles that I could extrapolate from his career. As an example, an NFL team is sort of a microcosm of small business. An NFL team has 52 players, right? And these 52 players, if they ever have a good season, they almost always leave to go to another team because they have monetary reasons to do so. So in a small business, when you run a small business, if you have 50 employees or less, you build up people, you coach up employees, and they typically go start a company to directly compete with you. That's the normal flow in small business or in business in general. In business, you have to minimize distraction actions to focus on actions you have to take. That's very similar to an NFL team. In a business, you have to manage a salary cap or some sort of budget. That's very similar to managing at the NFL level. And Bill Belichick used to work as essentially the de facto general manager as well as the head coach.
Yeah.
But for all the reasons that I watched Bill Belichick, and I'll elaborate on that, that's why I will not be watching him now, because I do not care at all about who. I never did care about who he was dating and or married to, and I still don't care. I don't care about what Bill Belichick does off the field, nor did I ever care. And so it's kind of a thing where, like, the reason why I watched it is because you could learn a lot about minimizing distractions. But now that the entire let's say if you were to just Google search Bill Belichick because you wanted to know about the status of recruiting players, you can't find anything about Bill Belichick without getting into latest breaking news. My wife asked me yesterday, it's a true story. She says to me, hey, what do you think about this particular situation with Bill Belichick? Or what do you think about the interview? I honestly hadn't watched it, and I won't be watching anything related to Bill Belichick because I'm done. So in my mind, he's dead to me, and I move on. Because
you tore your hoodie.
No, I mean it, because it's just not worth it to me to I don't care, But I want to give people some examples that maybe this could tie into everybody out there watching today's show. You think about business and you're trying to grow a business, or you're trying to build a successful life, or you're trying to do something beyond just surviving. The big teaching moment I want to give everybody today, and I've got 5 action items that go underneath this. But first off, to be successful, you really have to minimize distractions to be able to have time to focus on the actions that you need to take. You need to minimize the distractions to focus on the actions that you need to take. So today in my life, for anybody watching today's show, my life, I'm just going to kind of bare my soul for you. I have to get a young man set up as a 1099 contractor today because he's not an employee of mine, and he does work for me and many other people, and he does work for me about once a month in the musical space. And so since this guy and I are going to be continuing to work together on different projects, I need to set up this particular young man that I do music with as a 1099. Now, that requires paperwork. Also, our downtown store, the lights in the downtown store, they burned out. So we have a downtown sign, and the signs, the signs that light up at night, one of the lights burned out. People say, really? Yeah, one of my employees failed a breathalyzer test. They got pulled over by police. Woo-woo. So now I have to arrange their ability to get to and from work. Another employee of mine didn't pay their phone bill, and so I now have to help them get from A to B. This is all on today's list, by the way.
There's a lot of distractions.
Right. So what I'm just saying is these are all distractions that would keep me from doing the actions that I want to take. And so my constant rule is, how can I minimize distractions? So if there's somebody in my life that causes perpetual problems by perpetual DUIs or perpetual drug use or whatever it is. So that was the conversation I had today, Dave, before talking to you guys. I talked to one of the people. I said, hey, listen, this person has done strike 1, strike 2, and now I'm having to think about how we're going to drive them to work. And so we need to replace this person. So if I was at UNC, that's probably the conversations I'd be having right now of like, okay, right now we're going to have to sit down with this person and say, look, we hired you. We didn't hire the show that came with you. So what we're going to need you to do here is we're going to need you to either break up with us or you break up with her, but we're not part of the show. That's not how we're going to do it here. And that's how I would handle it. So as a teaching moment for anybody watching this, in business and in life, I really do minimize distractions. And so if you're watching today's show, you say, what's action step number 1? I encourage you to make a to-do list today. Okay, make a calendar. So get out a calendar and write down what you're going to do today. Okay, so this is going to be a 48-hour case study. I want you to write down everything you did yesterday, but put it in a timeline. Like what did you do at 6 a.m.? What did you do at 7? What did you do at 8? What did you do at 9? Okay, and go all the way through yesterday. And then I want you to think about today. Think about today. So the next 48 hours, I want you to think about, what did you do yesterday? Timeline it out. What did you do? What are you going to do today? And then tomorrow, I want you to write out what you're going to do, what you are going to do tomorrow. And this is so important because, Stacey, you know this. You're a mom. You're an entrepreneur. You're a wife. You're a podcast host. And if you aren't intentional about designing tomorrow, you're going to always be living in the past.
No doubt
if you don't design tomorrow, you're always going to be living in the past. So I think that's a powerful tip, but maybe you as a mom, you could uniquely add some detail to that, because I would argue that every mom watching today's show, you have two full-time jobs called being a mom and doing whatever you do for a living. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on that, because I think it's so important for everybody to do that.
I think it's important, taking everything that's in your brain and being willing to write those things down. I think as a woman, you can multitask. You're like, oh, I can do all of these things. But if you don't write them down, your brain is constantly trying to hold on to them and then not forget. And so if you write it down, then you had it on the paper, it can remember for you. Then you just check it off as you go. That was one of the best things that I learned from Clay. The very first time that we met with him, came to Tulsa at the Right Time Show. He carried around his to-do list, and he would just check it off as he went through the day. For me, I came home, I was like, I can do that. I can apply that. And what was amazing about it is I got a lot more done, but my brain could relax because I knew I didn't have to hold on to that anymore. Don't forget to do this. Everything was on a list. I could just check it off as I went through the day.
One thing I want to tie into what Clay was saying and what you've done well, in the past, Stacey has coached a lot of people on weight loss. That was like a big focus of hers. Countless people lost over 100 pounds, and one of her things was journaling. And I remember it would just, you could have set your watch by it. A week or so, people were shocked at the calories they took in that didn't matter, that weren't a part of a meal. It was like they cut the edge of the crust off of their kid's sandwich, and then they would just eat that.
Yep.
And they, like, when they started writing down everything they ate, it was a big gap between what they thought they were eating and what they were eating.
Yes.
And that detail, when Clay's talking about, what'd you do? If you ask most people, what'd you do yesterday? Well, I went to work. But if you break down how many 15-minute chunks of your day you blew or didn't think about, or you were scrolling or in a meaningless conversation there's so much waste in our diet that we don't know kind of comes through because it just didn't happen, because it wasn't a meal. It just didn't happen. Or with our time, this waste of time with distractions. And a lot of them are repetitive that when you kind of talk to somebody every so often, you're like, wow, every time I talk to you, there's this same kind of thing happening, and they don't really recognize it themselves. That journal listing idea is huge.
I'm going to pull up this next clip here. I want to play this clip here. This is a client that we've had the opportunity to work with. It looks a lot like me, but this is the client over here. Let me see if I can refresh this real fast here. This is what happens here when you start talking about Bill Belichick. All of a sudden, crazy things begin happening in my life. Okay, let me pull this up real quick here. Okay, so this gentleman here. He has a pool maintenance company, and I want people to hear this story real quick here. What kind of growth have you had since you became a one-on-one coaching client?
Well, I think when I first started back, not even a year ago, when we really started getting down in the dirt with this, I had about 6 consistent customers, and now I'm about shy of 60 customers.
Okay, so this guy had 10x growth here, and this video, by the way, is a little bit older, but he actually had 10x. He 10 times the size of it. He grew his business by 10 times, and he did it in 9 months. Okay. Wow. But today he's up 16.3 times. Okay. So, but I just want people to understand this is his website. Okay. Weimer Works, and he's a great guy. Nothing but great things to say about him. But he did not know about the action steps that he needed to take. So step number 2. So step number 1, I want you to audit what you did yesterday. Okay. What you're doing today, and what you're going to do tomorrow. All right. Now, step number 2, you need to write down the things that you need to do to get where you want to go. Now, this seems obvious, but I was just talking to a musician this morning, a client of mine, okay? And he was saying, I'm wanting to secure big rights with top 40 artists. So he wants to team up with songwriters who are top 40 writers. And this week I introduced him to 2. And he says to me, how did you do that? I said, well, in my phone, every time I meet somebody who's a musician, I put them in my phone as a musician. And so I went through my phone yesterday morning at 3 a.m, and I went through and I found all the musicians, and I called them all, and I asked them, hey, do you have any top 40 songwriting friends? And they said, yes. And then I called them and I introduced them to you. That's how I did it. And he's like, what? This morning, another example, one of my clients was trying to get a trade show for trade show booths, but he is in a unique spot in his life where he can't really afford, because he's more in that startup phase. He's a good guy, and he can't afford a big booth at a big trade show, but he wants to go to trade shows. And I said, well, make a list of everyone you know that goes to trade shows, and then call them and see if you can share a booth. And he's like, how would you do that? I said, well, make a list. And so he said, I don't know if I can do it. So I called him today. True story. I called him this morning. I said, hey, guess what? I found 2 people that are willing to share booths with you. They do 100 trade shows a year, and you can share booths. He's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, went through my phone. I called everybody. And again, it's just very intentional. Another example, I was out at Branson attending that wonderful wedding for your incredible daughter and your son-in-law. And I was in Branson, and I don't really know what to do on vacation. I don't really process it very well. So I got out my phone, and I took photos of everything that I liked at Silver Dollar City. Every single item. I'm like, psh, 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 psh. And then I came back to Tulsa, and I sketched it out, and now we have a blueprint for the big renovations that we're doing in the office. So
cool.
Yeah. But I came back, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this time, since I'm in Branson, and it's before the wedding, and I don't really know what to do with the emotions that I'm experiencing on vacation. I don't really know what this means. I would not choose to be here. I don't want to be here. I just had a turkey leg, and I need something to do with my time. I want to go, but the wedding's not till later tomorrow. I need to do something. So I got out my sketch pad, and I began to draw what I'm going to turn my parking lot into.
How cool is that?
So I sketched it out, drew it out, and then I got photos from Branson. And so this is the video footage from Branson. This is the breaking news, the footage. So I couldn't find my wife. My wife said, "Could you pick me up?" And I said, "Sure." And then my GPS kept leading me in a circle. And I got almost violently mad that I kept going in a circle, which always happens when I go on vacation, which is why I don't like vacation. So I got out and I filmed this. So I kind of self-medicated by filming this. So I filmed this, and then I filmed that. So I'm like, okay, if I'm in Branson, so I film, and so I filmed this, I filmed that, okay. And I'm like, I'm going to build this, and then I took this video right here of this. I said, okay, here we go.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful, Clay.
That's relaxing. I can hear it. That's beautiful.
And I'm saying, okay, how do we do this? How do I build this? I'm going to build this. How do we build that? There we go.
Hey, that's what he's saying in the video. The man speaks truth.
Yep.
That is what he was saying.
That. How do I build that? There we go. So again, I just took a time where I thought it was kind of wasted time, because I personally don't like, going to vacation. So I felt like I was like, I'm stuck here. My kids are riding rides. I really don't want to be here. But during this time I'm going to go to my to-do list, and I'm going to make this productive. So I ran around, and I'm saying that because a lot of life is that messy middle. A lot of life is like in between the meetings. So I'm not saying this to be antagonistic, but because I am coming up in Google searches because of calling myself for 10 years as Bill Belichick's #1 fan, everyone keeps asking me, what are your thoughts on Bill Belichick? And I'm not saying this to be antagonistic, but I've been telling the staff, because they keep asking me, I go, I have no thoughts. He's dead to me. I will not be watching, because I'm done now. But I'm saying is I could have a longer conversation with the staff, but does that make sense? Or people will ask me, Dave, they'll say, there's a local gas station by here called Peyton's, and Peyton's, and it's a local gas station where you can buy various accoutrements. And employees are always asking me, they're nice people. They say, "Hey, do you want me to get you something from Peyton's?" And I always go, 100% not, but thank you for asking, because I don't want to think about it. So people ask me, well, if they shadow me for the day, why don't you ever eat during the day? It's not like an intermittent fasting pro tip. I just don't want to think about it. And I'm not saying that you should do that. People say, why do you always wear the same thing every day? Because I don't want to think about it. So and again, I'm not saying that you should follow these pro tips. I'm just asking you, how can you carve out time? And I found myself at a time, Dave, I was starting to win awards with my company, DJ Connection, and my wonderful wife would say, I don't know if you can wear that belt with those shoes to that thing. And I'm going, I don't like this conversation. So I'm going to come up with something that I can just wear, and then you just have to deal with it, and then it's done, because it's one conversation. I'm done. And so I just encourage you, if you're watching today's show, distractions are a huge problem. And so Mr. Russell, step one, we looked at his schedule, Mr. Russell Weimer, the pool guy, and I said, Mr. Pool guy, he's a startup, okay, what did you do with yesterday? What are you going to do with today? Now, what are you going to do with tomorrow? And step one, that's what you got to do. Step number two, you have to ask, what are the action steps that I need to take to turn my dream of owning my own successful pool company, in Russell's case, into a super success story? What are the steps I need to take? So going back to this idea of this design, what are the steps I need to take to turn my parking lot into this? What are the steps? And so I write down the steps. And so here are the steps. So project 1, I need to add gravel to the driveway. Step number 2, build loud water feature. Project 3, build a massive loud waterfall. Project number 4, this is all building path heading from the office to the house. So I took photos of it because I want to nail it down. So I took video of it. I'm going
Pathway to the office. This is what I'm looking for. Big stones.
Big stones.
Oh, Clay, that's going to be awesome.
But you sketch it out. And again, if I'm not careful, what you do is you see this great experience and you don't take the time to think about what are the steps to get from A to B. So step number 1, detail out your schedule. We talked about it. Define what you did yesterday, what you're doing today, what you're doing tomorrow. Step number 2, so big. This is, you got to do it. You got to say, what are the steps I need to take on a daily basis to get from A to B? Step number 3, you have to schedule your habits. And that is a big thing. A big thing. You schedule your habits. It's called habitual success. So when we go to thrivetimeshow.com, Dave, we've got thousands of client success stories. And I tell them, hey, listen, we got to move past the emotion of I didn't get it done. I did get it done. I want to get it done. I should have got it done. What do I do? I feel, you feel, we all feel. And we have to schedule our success. Yeah. And you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see all these super successful clients. And I'm going to tell you the super secret system for Russell Weimer building his pool business. If you're watching today's show, I can teach you the proven system for any industry. But for Russell's business, these are the 6 things he has to do every week. 1, he has to gather objective video reviews from real clients. 2, he has to gather images of real projects he's worked with. Nobody wants to be the first pool. 3, we have to write 1,000-word page of content every day. 4, we have to get more Google reviews than our competitors. 5, we have to do the group interview. Every single week, we have to interview potential employees to come work with us. Why? Because you're always going to need people. And point number 6, every single week, you need to have a staff meeting, and you hold your staff accountable to the metrics that you've set forth. And now it's becoming a multi-million-dollar company. But if you're out there today and you feel stuck, these steps I'm trying to teach you, Dave, I believe these moves, these will unlock anybody's success. I think a lot of people are just stuck in this weird dystopian, distracted, perpetual, emotional. I don't even know, Dave, what it is. I've been stuck in this thing called proactivity since age 15. So I don't know how to go back to being stuck.
Well, partly by your, pushing and then others, we developed a course called Prosperous Marriage. You guys can talk about marriage. We married 32 years. Our grown kids are highly functional. And they're like, well, how'd you do all that? Well, I don't know. That's not my space. I'm not a marriage, I'm not a pastor. It's kind of always stayed out of that. We were kind of more in, business and that world. When we did it, the first thing was document everything we do. Mm-hmm. And so even within the course, one of the courses, we call it, it's a kind of a free download. We did a date night book, and it's 50 things for dates. It's very simple. One of the things was the ultimate home management course. We did a series of 10-minute videos that are all just so simple. Anybody watches any one of them, it's well, how to put your house to bed. Try not to go to bed with dishes in your sink because then you wake up the next day in debt to yesterday. And so, just, and there's so many things that are so practical and people see them and they're like, oh, well, that's lame. That's done. Anybody could do that. Well, that's the point. That's why we've been married 32 years. We have next to no drama, in our life. And a lot of the things that are holes in the bucket of water you're pulling have been plugged, and it's kind of boring, but then boring allows us to schedule fun.
Right.
And excitement. The excitement in my life is not created out of, just living in chaos. It's simple, boring, simple little things. And so the whole course,
everybody can do.
And so I think a lot of people kind of get that vibe. They're watching, it's oh, this is really simple. I could do this. I could do this.
Exactly.
I could do this. And it's oh, well, that's kind of the key. But it's just a ton of them. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of just simple things that make your life easier. So then you can schedule in excitement where you're not almost subconsciously creating drama in your life because that's what you do.
Step number 4 ties into what you just said about the marriage. This is so important. I was talking to my son last night. My son said, hey, Dad, you want to grab a steak? I'll never turn down my son to go grab a steak. So we're sitting down having a steak. And he was telling me, I'll be very vague, but there's a certain family that he knows, and they're always fighting in the living room, because he's their kids. He'll go over there, and it's always there. I mean, it's this crazy fighting. It's always get out of here if you're not gonna, that whole thing. And so he'll walk in, Oh, you're gonna talk to me like that? Just that whole energy. And so my son, he thinks it's kind of funny because he's like, I'll walk in and you'll literally, I'll be walking in and the door will get slammed and it's like, you're not gonna talk to me like that. I'll see if I'm here tomorrow. It's every time. It's just, and these people, and again, being very vague here, these people, they're not gonna have success because that is a perpetual distraction that keeps them from the action. So step number 4, you want to minimize your distractions.
Yes.
It's so important you minimize your distractions. And I would argue everybody out there, if your marriage is a source of distraction, improve that thing, okay? Don't get out of that thing, improve that thing. And time in that thing, do that. But I don't want anyone to feel unredeemable. I don't want to come across as this judgmental, unredeemable guy. I mean, I'm very self-aware. I'm the most pale male I've ever met. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, which include skiing, running quickly, movies. I don't do that. Go into Silver Dollar City, amusement parks, riding rides. My kids are like, my dad will never ride rides. My kids brought some friends with them last time we were there, and they're going, Mr. Clark, do you want to ride the rides? My kid's like, no, he'll never ride a ride. So there's a lot of things I don't do well. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of speed. I'm afraid of large bodies of water. I fear vacations. There's a lot of things I don't do well. I'm just talking about growing a business here, okay? But so we don't feel unredeemable. There are 4 examples I wanted to share with you because you mentioned.
That's a great point.
There are 4. We mentioned Bill Belichick, but I want to mention 4 that everybody should know as well. Samson, strongest man in the world, right? And Delilah was able to distract him in a way that took him away from God's purpose for his life.
The same virus.
Now, there are many people that have told me in the last 24 hours, they're like, I don't know if you know, but Bill Belichick's girlfriend, her mom she runs an adult store. And I'm like, sounds probable.
Slash museum.
There you go. But I mean, there's a lot there. And so, and again, but it sounds like that may be the Delilah in his life right now. And so I would just, if you're out there watching today's show and your name is Bill Belichick, I would just pray that you would surround yourself with wise counsel and people that aren't always trying to cut your hair while you're sleeping. Now, example number 2, David in the Bible. We were talking offline about this, but David in the Bible, he was supposed to be at war leading his men. And instead, he looked upon a nude woman, and then he did bad things. And then to cover up the fact that he got her pregnant, he sent her husband to war, and then he died in the war. And so he was guilty of essentially murder and infidelity. That's David. Again, but God said that David was after his own heart. Example number 3, a lot of Christians, I love this one. Christians love to come to sometimes events, and they'll bring like a shofar. I see a lot of Christians. They'll come to an event, they bring a shofar. I'm not knocking shofars.
Yeah, be careful.
Careful. And they'll bring it, and they'll go, whoop, and then they'll say, Lion of Judah, woo! And I'll say, do you know what the Line of Judah, how it started? They go, no. I go, well, you should look it up, because the Line of Judah started because a dude accidentally impregnated his daughter-in-law. Look that up. Have fun with that one. So God started the Line of Judah by a guy accidentally impregnating his daughter-in-law. Someone says, huh? Look it up. Have fun with that one. I mean, I like to say I'm from the Line of Judah. Woo! That's one of my favorite podcasts. Line of Judah. Woo! But if you ask me, what is the Line of Judah? I don't know the most.
The Bible's only boring, and church only boring if you're not reading it.
That is true.
So again, I mean, God used the Line of Judah, obviously, right? God has used. Now, this is going to really bother somebody. I started off with the ones that wouldn't bother you, but I'm trying to work my way into the ones that will really bother you. So the recap of people that God used. 1, Samson. We talked about that. 2, David, okay? David. Delilah tempted Samson. David was supposed to be at war. He got distracted, impregnated somebody, killed her husband. Okay, wow. 3, the Line of Judah. Look that up, folks. Don't believe me. And then 4, there's a certain individual that's been married 3 times that may or may not be leading the free world. Think about that for a second. Talk about age gap for a second. Think about it for a second. If you're married to someone who is younger than your son's girlfriend, what? Imagine that you're married to someone who's younger than your son's girlfriend. Sounds familiar. Who could I be talking about? I don't know. I'm just saying, so God can use anybody out there, but we all confess. There's lust, there's gossip, there's betrayal, there's insecurities, there's greed. These are all things that God has taught us we really need to seek after God's laws. We need to seek after God's laws and not after the things of the world. So no matter who you are, if you're out there today and you're struggling with distraction, build a calendar and hold yourself accountable. I think that's a big, powerful aspect of having a coach in your life or a mentor. When you have a coach and you say, Coach, I'm going to be on my call, Friday at 9 a.m. or Saturday at 2 p.m. One of my clients, he's hilarious. He happens to be in the medical space, and our meetings are at 2 on Saturdays. And we have a tracking sheet, and you'll notice he always fills it out like at 151, 152. Because you can see when and he's just trying to update it, and you can see his Google reviews are coming in like at 12. Our meeting's at 2. So at 12 o'clock, 2 Google reviews come in, and the video's getting uploaded, and he gets on the phone. He's like, hey, what's going on? It's like Kramer, how Kramer always showed up on Seinfeld. He always bumbles through the door. He's like, hey, like he just got thrown through the door. And my client, he always comes in like that, and he goes, man, honestly, if I didn't have you in my life, I would have never got these things done. And so I need to have that accountability. We all need that accountability. Yeah. So that's the big thing. And then finally, pro tip number 5 is you want to install a tracking system. And I always tell people that everything will expand that you track except for your waistline. Mm-hmm. Another example, you measure what you treasure. You measure what you treasure. Another way to say it would be you're going to slack where you don't track. Mm-hmm. And so what I would encourage everybody to do there is, one, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's pull it up real quick. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. And when you go to thrivetimeshow.com, I'll log off because your producer could probably do it better than I am. But if you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you go there, we have got these conferences. I mean, we've got Bill. Think about all the people that we have at our conferences are going to be there, okay? We've got Tim Tebow. He's going to be there. Tim Tebow actually played for Bill Belichick for a while. And he knew him as this super focused, diligent coach guy. And that's, but Tim is a great entrepreneur. He's been successful on the football field and off the football field. He's a very disciplined guy. He's an accountable guy. He's a guy who minimizes distractions. Tim Tebow will be there. Colton Dixon, the very successful top 40 music artist, he's going to be there. It's June 5th and 6th. And if you use promo code FLYOVER, you have a chance to win a backstage pass. Also, you get a discount on those VIP tickets if you use promo code FLYOVER. And by the way, the VIP dinners are at my house. You can meet my wife and my kids. It's a lot of fun. You'll meet Tim Tebow. You'll shake his hand, that kind of thing. Maybe get a photo with him. And then in September, we have Eric Trump joining us. So Eric Trump will be joining us. Also, his attorney, Alina Habba, will be joining us. President Trump's attorney, Alina Habba. She'll be joining us. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be there. Many of the faces from the Reawakened America tour will be there, but I wanted to make sure people understand why. People don't know this, but Alina Habba was an attorney, was a lawyer, and she ran her own law firm before representing Trump. She ran her own law firm. And so there's a lot. I mean, how do you get clients? How do you market? How do you manage a staff? That's something she's going to talk about. I'm not going to talk to her about geopolitical things. Dr. Stella runs her own independent medical practice, which is why she was able to treat people with hydroxychloroquine, these kind of things. That's Dr. Stella, MD. Amanda Grace runs an animal sanctuary. People don't know that. She runs an animal sanctuary. Mel K was a Hollywood producer. So all these different people, yes, we want to save America and make America great again and that kind of thing. But these conferences are very practical. They're very tactical. And if you're out there today and you're going through that perpetual David Sampson, dare I say, Bill Belichick phase of your life where you're just distracted and focused on things that are not of God and not wholesome and not getting you where you want to go, I would encourage you just to invite the Holy Spirit to come into your life right now and ask God to lead your path, to guide your path. And if you say, I don't know where to start, I think a great thing to do if you say, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, I think reading Proverbs is a good place to go. Mm-hmm. If you're just saying, I need a kind of an on-ramp into this thing called the Bible, I think Proverbs is a great place to start. And then the final area I'll give you for anybody out there who wants to kind of get on-ramp into the Bible, you say, man, I haven't read the Bible in a long time. I don't know where to start. I recommend you go ahead and read Proverbs. Proverbs is a book. Proverbs, it's a book in favor of action. It's pro-action, Proverbs. Also, I'd recommend that you read Matthew chapter 24, which happens to be the final message that Jesus delivered. So you can kind of learn how to live a great life and how Jesus says it's all going to fall together in the end. So it's a lot of information there, but hopefully that was helpful.
That was so good. So Clay, let's say that somebody's listening today and they're like, I definitely want to attend the business conference in June. But they're also saying, I am interested in having you as a coach. You were talking about, the person that you work with on Saturday at 2:00, that you do the call.
Yeah. I need somebody to follow up with me like a woodpecker.
Exactly. So what does that look like? How would they do something like that?
Well, the first off is, and I'm going to give an example of a person I talked to yesterday, true story. This person has a very successful bakery. They started by going door to door selling fresh baked bread at these farmers markets. So they made the fresh baked bread, they got the licenses and all that, and they went to farmers markets and they sold and sold and sold for 2 years. Then they opened up their own bakery. And now they're like, because I got the overhead of the bakery,
Right.
I got employees, and I'm making money, but I don't know how to get unstuck. Another guy I talked to yesterday has an automotive repair shop, phenomenally successful, and in terms of gross revenue, he's won awards. He has a huge staff, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, I only operate like at a 4% profit margin." And so I people think of me as super successful. I've got this big business, but I don't make any money, and I'm in my 60s, and I don't know how to fix it. And I heard that you can turn around an automotive shop. And so that's the kind of people we talk to: doctors, dentists, lawyers. And so step number one is you do a free 13-point assessment with me. That's where you and I are on a phone, and I'm walking you through how to get unstuck. So I'm actually going to teach you how to get unstuck on a one-on-one basis. Wow. And many people say that call itself is life-changing. The second thing is if you say, you know what, I want your team to help me. We do photography and video and web, and we do a lot of bookkeeping for clients, by the way. We look at their numbers a lot. Most of our clients, we really get into that. We really look at the numbers, workflow design, marketing, hiring, every aspect of growing a company. We do all that. That package is $1,700 a month, and it's always been $1,700. It used to be $1,500 before inflation, but it's $1,700 a month. And then for people that are kind of stuck and you need a hand up, I do this thing called a scholarship, and we do scholarship clients. And so usually at any given month, we'll have 1 or 2 clients on scholarship where, they can't afford $1,700, but they're willing to put in the time. And then we work out sort of a system where we let them pay a little bit less if they need to until we can get them where they need to go. But most of our clients, Stacy, will double their company in 12 months. That's normal. Normally we can double the size of a company in 12 months. Now, for a guy like Russell, who started with 6 customers, we helped him grow by 16.3 times in the past 12 months. But that is a smaller business. But most established companies, we can help them double. And many of your listeners, we've helped one of your listeners who owns a car wash. We've helped him grow quite a bit. Yep. Another one of your listeners that has a gutter repair company, we've helped him grow. So that's how that works. You schedule a free consultation at thrivetimeshow.com. It's $1,700 a month. And our average client is with us for over 6 years. And you say, well, how come not 7, dude? It's usually because my clients sell their company.
Yeah.
And so usually what happens is shawhomes.com, which we've talked about so much on the show, we help them grow from 14 million to 150 million. And then the owner calls me and he says, hey, I'm going to sell the company. I don't fault a man who wants to sell a $150 million business. Okay. One of my clients yesterday, I talked to him, true story, I'll keep it vague. He created kind of like an Uber for the healthcare space. He just passed $1 billion valuation. He just passed his company's now worth he's $1 billion. And so he called me yesterday and he's going, hey, how's that lawsuit coming? Because the Reawaken Tour got sued as a result of us talking about the things we talked about. And I said, well, I get to go do mediation in Colorado here in 2 weeks. And he's like, I may be able to help you with that. And we'll see if he does. If he doesn't, I'm not fishing for it, but he called me. So a lot of our clients have built oxyfresh.com. He grew from a handful of locations to now 500 locations. So could you imagine going from 3 locations, 4 locations to 500 locations? Timothy Johnson, if your producer looks him up, Timothy Johnson in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Have fun typing that in. Timothy Johnson, he's an ophthalmologist. Have fun with typing all that in. He's an ophthalmologist in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Timothy Johnson. We helped him double the size of his company. There he is. Timothy Johnson.
Good job, producer
He's an
Colton.
ophthalmologist. That's tough to do, to type in Tuscaloosa and ophthalmologist. Anyway, but there's so many clients that I have endless case studies, Dave. You've met a lot of these people at the conferences. And it's just a really neat thing. You get a weekly coaching meeting. You get to come to a conference every couple months. All of that's included. It's like the complete entrepreneur's paradise. It is what we do. And the only guy in the world who does what I do, and in my opinion, more successfully than I do, is Paul Graham. So Paul Graham is the only guy that I know in the world that does what I do and does it perhaps better than me. That's Paul Graham, and that's the guy who started Airbnb, Dropbox, and Reddit.
Well, most people, they start a business because maybe they have a specific skill or they're working for a company and they're like, I could do this on my own, and I could paint houses on my own. I could do, they have a skill set, but our education system is so broken when it comes to even being pro-entrepreneurial or, anything, towards capitalism and all this. So people are they don't have the education in this, and they might watch reels of somebody that's motivational. You got Kobe Bryant, or you got Alex Hormozy, or you got, these are great memes and and images, and you're inspired, and they just kind of go out and paint houses harder. What you do is more like when you watch Formula One or NASCAR and the car pulls in and there's this crew, that takes the tires off and they do the stuff, and they got like all of those things that are the areas of weakness that people struggle with. Like, I'm good at driving the car, or I'm good at fixing the car. I need a driver. They have an area they're good at. You help supplement all those areas of weakness and allow them to actually own their business, not the business own them.
I want to show you one thing real quick for your listeners. I kept this because
look at that.
This was the program from your daughter's wedding, and I want to show people this because it kind of relates to what you just said, and I've been keeping it in my pocket, not sure why. It's just so good, so I've been keeping it in my pocket. But this was the schedule of events that your daughter made for the wedding. It was so detailed, and everybody at the wedding kept saying, "Man, this is an incredible program." And she did a great job of laying out their love story. Sometimes we speculate, how did they meet? Where did they meet? And there was stories that showed their love story, walking down the path from the ceremony chapel to the reception hall. And then my kids were doing the crossword puzzles, so I kept that so we could, And so there was that time where there was a little bit of downtime, and everybody kind of, at a wedding, what do you do? Do you talk to the guy next to you? Do you not? Whatever. You guys thought through that, so you had the crossword puzzles. You put on here the names of all the wedding party attendants. You put in fun facts. There was so much in here, and it was so intentional. And I can't think of any better way to describe the wedding ceremony than it was intentional. And the desired result was you were wanting to celebrate your daughter's marriage, or your daughter was wanting to celebrate her marriage in a biblical way. And then you were wanting to celebrate the attendees. And you never said that to me, but I'm saying that's what I felt as an attendee was, wow, we're celebrating a biblical marriage, a couple that is coming together for the right reasons in a very sober-minded, Christ-focused way. We're going to celebrate that, but we're going to celebrate the guests. And it was so intentional, and that was the result. And so I think that's what we do a lot for businesses is people say, I have a business, and I just don't know how to be intentional. I don't know how to go from being reactive to proactive. And I'm clearly what I'm doing has gotten me where I am now, but I'm tired of treading water. I want to have abundance. I want to have success. I want to move beyond surviving. So again, best wedding program I've ever seen. I don't go to weddings, but when I do, I set a quota for how many meatballs I will eat. I tried to eat 50 meatballs, but I maxed out at 30. So thank you for the meatballs. True story.
It was a great
awesome,
time. It was a great time. She even packaged together. You've done enough weddings to know the photos can be a disaster because you got all these combinations. So she prepackaged. Okay, we're doing me with mom and his sister, cousin, and like
and it was in the program.
All the different little program, and everybody had that in their hand. Like, oh, I'm in these three groupings, So that preparation though made the day fun, and that's kind of what you do for people's entire life, and I'm thankful for it. So
Clay, we are so thankful for you, and truly you are anointed for what you are doing. You have changed so many people's lives by really making it where they do owe their business and their business does not own them. So we really appreciate you. Make sure, Fly Family, you go to thrivetimeshow.com, or you can text 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102 to get your tickets to the event or to set up that 13-point assessment. Thanks again, Clay, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called DJconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and people that parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 in the morning. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed, and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's what was on Clay, this technology you tell your group. I was so impressed because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to 100% growth. We're a full functioning company. It's great. We're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time, and he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive, but I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something, and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this, honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or what was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay, and let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business? Or was that something that you were maybe excited about or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. There was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're going to fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.
Whoa.
Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments in Naval Academy and Kings Point, Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to Oh, in 6, 7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new. And I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability. And it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys were the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6, 7 years.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called djconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is the creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed, and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's what was on Clay, this technology you tell your group. I was so impressed because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay. And what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to like 100% growth. Like we're like a full functioning company. It's great. Like we're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting like a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant like cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time. And he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive. But I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or what was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay, and let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business, or was that something that you were maybe excited about, or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. There was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're gonna fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.
Whoa.